Guys, it's Mehdi from Embosoft. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to deploying FastAPI application. In this tutorial we will learn how to create Dockerfile and run Dockerfile. We will preparing our application for Docker. We will be working with Docker Compose and at the end deploying our application locally. Now let's start. Actually, in this tutorial I don't want to create a new application because I have already created an application for our I have already created to-do application from FastAPI. I can recommend it to see this video if you are not seeing actually these videos as well. And I have just simple to-do app, and as I said, I have already created a video tutorial from this to-do app. And in this tutorial, now before we are starting, we need to preparing our project for Docker. To do that, we need to pip freeze. We need to archive actually our dependency in requirement file. At the end we have a requirement files with all dependency actually from here. The second step actually is to create a Docker file. From here, Dockerfile. Docker, as you know, Docker is just most popular technology used for containerization. Docker can be used for local development as well as for deploying application to production. In this tutorial, just we are going to work with local, and I will create another video for working with the production version. We are going to deploy our FastAPI with CI/CD in DigitalOcean server. Now from here, let's start and create our Docker file. I'm typing from base image will be Python. We are going to use with Python version 3.10. Second step is to what we need to do. We need to define a work order, and from here I'm just going to define a work order. As you can see, work order will be app, for example. And what we need to do, we need to add or copy. Actually, we can copy our from here requirement.txt. just I'm going to copy from source will be from here. I'm just going to actually it's the same way when you are starting to write a FastAPI, Django or Flask or any Python actually framework. Before you are starting, you are define your directory, and you create your virtual environment. After that you active your virtual environment. It's the same way. Before I'm going to run my project, I define my app work order, and I copy our dependency requirement file to work order, and from here I'm going to install actually our dependency just by typing run at the first pip install upgrade, and then pip and pip install -r. Now it's time. We want to install our dependency, and dependency we have already copy requirement files to API. That means we can find requirements.file in app, and then just let me to copy paste from here. Actually, the first line is not necessary. You can just run pip install -r requirement.file, but as my experience led me to at the first led to upgrade our pip file. Okay, and the second line and the third line, actually we want to work with expose the port from which our application can be accessed from the local network, maybe 8080. And at the end, I'm just going to copy everything's again from source. I'm going to copy every files and folder from here to app directory. I have already copied requirements file to app directory and install our dependency, and the second, and now I want to copy everything now yet to my directory. Actually we can do everything to one line, but I separated that you can learn, like you can see better how does it work. And the second and the last part, actually last command, we are starting application using cmd command, and we need to say we want to Python, and then what we need to define actually Python file. In my case is root to run UV code. Actually, as you can see, just typing root.py. Okay, great. Now we have our Dockerfile. Now let's do, before we are going to create the image from our Dockerfile, I just want to create another Docker ignore Docker now ignore and from here what we need to do, oh sorry, I forgot to do that. From here I want to say, from here I don't want to push VNV, VNV file as well, and git as well. Okay, now we are create our Docker file, we are create our Docker ignore. Let's to create first image from our first service, actually image from our project. To do that, actually from here I have already used 2 times copy. You can use add as well. Actually it's the same way, actually it's not matter. Okay, now to build in Docker image, just type Docker build -t and the name of our Docker image. I give this, for example, to do API, and from here actually ask us where is your Docker file. I type from here dot, that means can find Docker file just from this directory. If you have a separate Docker file, you can type the path of your Docker file actually from here, but in our case I'm just going to type that. Okay, now started to create Docker image from our project. As you can see, starting to install our dependency for our project. and looks actually good, and as you can see everything is worked correctly. Okay, the second step, actually, as you can see, now that we have successfully built our application image, let's pull MongoDB image. We can just typing docker pull Mongo, because it's have already created in Docker Hub. I think you can find from here Docker Hub, Hub or Docker, just here Mongo. As you can see, Docker image Mongo. You can type in by Docker pull Mongo. You can work with this image as well. It looks great actually. Just by from here I have already Docker pull Mongo, and now I started to pull Mongo from hub Docker. Take a minute actually here, and after that if you want to learn more about Docker pull or Docker, I don't know, another command line from Docker, you can open Docker documentation, and it's great documentation from Docker. And Docker pull command is just responsible for downloading image from registry, not anymore. Okay, and now from here I'm going to create another file for deploying our application locally. We need to work with Docker Compose. I'm going to create a file, Docker Compose .yaml, and now from here at the first I'm defining Docker YAML file, and we need to define the services. In this tutorial or in this project we have two services. One service that actually every image container is just one service. We have created one service. We are already creating image from our project. That will be our service one, and the second service is MongoDB. Now you can understand better why we need to work with Docker Compose, because Docker Compose allow us actually to work with multi-container. When you want to work with multi-container, you need a Docker Compose. And I created first service. I give it, for example, API, and now from here build from here current directory, image name, need an image name. I have already created the image from my project, and I give it this name, Docker image from our to-do application. I'm just typing to-do application. Ports, to define a port, just I'm typing, we can just say we want to work with port 80, and at this last env file, that will be our virtual environment path. For actually we can define a more different virtual environment. As you can see from here, I have just virtual environment file. We can define a more env, for example, prod for production. We can define .env.local for our local, and something else. And I'm, for example, let me to define it, and let me do this tutorial. I just want to work with the virtual environment local. I copy paste everything from there to here just by where is that? Let me to copy this here from here, for example. There are database, in our case local database, and just to do DB, for example, secret key. It's not matter actually, but you want. And let's continue from here. I'm going to define actually image. We have defined image, we are defining ports, and we can say easily .env .root. Actually you can work with just simple virtual environment. It's possible as well, but it's completely depend to you if you want to work with different virtual environment file. That was actually the first service from service section. The second service is database, Mongo database. Let me to continue from here. I'm going to define image Mongo. We have already pulled Mongo, pulled actually from here, as you can see. This is another image, and ports. We need to know image. Okay, now looks better. Ports must be MongoDB, as you know, work with port. For example, where is that? But I copy that actually. I just copy to port. Work with port 27017. We can say we want to work with these ports, and volume. Just I'm going to define a volumes from here. And data, define a data value, and must be data and DB or database as you want. And at the end, I just want to actually we are going to define volumes. Define volumes from data, volumes from just typing data, something like this. Okay, great. Now looks everything's good, and as you can see, we will work. Our images will be run on port 8080. Our database will run on port 27017, and we are defining path, volumes, we are defining image name, and at the end we are going to run actually deploy our project. Now I think we can run our project. Okay, to run our project, I'm going just to type Docker compose. Okay, Docker compose app -d. Now as you can see, it's starting to run, but what's wrong here? Started, but not working actually, as I can see, because must build everything's from here. To be sure actually that is working, I'm going to open my Docker Actually, from here you can type docker ps. It's already worked correctly because it's running from here. And from here docker images, I can see two images. One image is MongoDB that we have already pulled it, and the second image is image from our to-do application, and at the end we are run together from here. That means we are allowed to run our application. As you can see, FastAPI Docker is running with two different services. One service is image from our application, the second image is database from our database, and from here we have two different images. And now let me to run my project. Localhost port 8080. As you can see, FastAPI application is running and it's working from Docker locally actually. And now let me, for example, Alex, book description, learn Python to be expert. Now it's working. Our MongoDB is created and everything is working as well. Great. And actually it's worked, and I think I have already explained everything, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And in the next tutorial I just want to work with serverless. Actually we want to work with CI/CD, GitHub, and I'm just working with UV-Core from DigitalOcean, and maybe with another serverless actual services, web services like Apache or something else. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Bis next time.